Good night. Welcome to Conversation with Rickford Burke, of course. This is Rickford here in New York. Share the link, everybody. Come on, share the link, everybody. Get on your social media platform and share the link. Before you share the link, however, if you're not a subscriber to my YouTube page, go take some time, go to YouTube right now, click on subscribe and subscribe. If you're watching me on Facebook and you have not liked or followed me, do that right now. But share the link. Get on your platforms and share the link. Thank you for joining Conversation with Rickford Burke. Those of you watching from here in New York, good night. If you're watching from the West Coast, it's just about 7 o'clock, good evening. If you're watching from Guyana, good night. It's 10 o'clock at night. If you're watching from the Caribbean, good night. London and the rest of Europe, good morning to you. Africa, Asia, good morning. Wherever you're watching from, I hope you're having a good time. Share the link, everybody. Get into all your social media and share the link. Get on your IG, IG, WhatsApp, WhatsApp, Facebook, Facebook, Facebook Messenger, Twitter, everything. Uh, Share the link. We have two very interesting topics tonight. Two very interesting topics tonight. Why do I look lean? I don't know. Um, Guys, tell me, do I look, I don't know, to me, I look like I'm lean. Anyway, text me, let me know that you're hearing the broadcast loud and clear. Everybody, share the link, get into all your groups and share the link. I'm going to do the same thing. Good night. Let me see some comments in the meantime before I go back to our break. Jacqueline, good night. Marcus, good night. Lambert, good night. Marilyn Larmore, good night. Where are you watching from? Barbados in the house. Barbados. Brian Clare, good night. Okay, loud and clear. That's Sinclair and John. And John. Sister Hyacinth Skeet, good night to you. How is Texas? Andrew Griffith, good night. Denise Booker, good night. I had fun with Miss Skeet in Washington 3 weeks ago. Marilyn Lormer, good night. Everybody text me. Keep sharing the link, everybody. Everybody share this link. Let me know where you're watching from. Jennifer Argyle, loud and clear. Jennifer, where are you watching me from? Don Chance, good night. Stacy Facey, good night. Hazel Chase, good night. Sherry Ramdial, good night. Sherry. Brother Norris, up in the Rockaways, good. Debbie Collins, loud and clear. Debbie, where are you watching from? Shondell Headley, good night. Good night, everybody. Good night. Brenda Casey, Brooklyn in the house, good night. Anthony Cambridge, good night. Sherwin Fraser. Sherwin Fraser. Good night, brother. Hazel Chase again, good night. Chichester Paul, Marine, Chichester Paul, Brooklyn. I saw Don Alicop, Rosin Williams. Wow, everybody share the link, everybody. Share the link, share the link. Share this link. Let's build this audience. Patricia Warren, Cheeseman. That's a unique name. Cheeseman, London. Sorry, Lambert Street. Who's from London there just now? Upstate New York. Good night. Who was that? Lennox Tom, good night, New Jersey. Sharon Ben, good night. Where are you watching from? O'Neill Young, good night. O'Neill, where are you watching from by? Yes, everybody, share the link, share the link, share the link, share the link, share the link. Andrew Griffith, good night. Audrey Cole, good night. Petal Blair. Thank you, Don. The fight is on. Lloyd Primo, good night. Colleen Sarah Andrews, good night. Winston Henry, good night, sir. Share the link, everybody. Share the link, share the link, share. Keep sharing the link, keep sharing the link. Let me call it someone. Roxanne Gorin, Pollard. Then I'm still Canarsie in the house. That's my cousin right there. Janet DeAndre, good night, watching from Brooklyn. Terrence Bruin, good night. Share the link, everybody. Come on, share the link, share the link, share the link. All right, so you guys share the link. And I'll be back. All right. So keep sharing the link, everybody. So there are two issues I want to deal with. You know, Bharrat Jagdeo loves to call my name. So I'll deal with Jagdeo, but that's the second issue. The first issue I want to deal with is Stabroek News. So this Stabroek News is very disrespectful to Black people. And, you know, one of the things that they're trying to get us in the diaspora to do is they're trying to wrap us up and fold us up into a mold of what they expect Black people to be, right? This PPP ethnic access, they don't understand that we live in America where we are not constrained by taboo issues of race. And so, listen, we know we Black. We know there are other races that we respect. But if you disrespect us, we'll tell you you're disrespecting us because we Black and cut it out. We're not dancing around no head of a needle to tell you that you're racist. And they can't put us in any box to try to get us, you know, like the slave masters would try to get the slaves to strip themselves of their culture, their heritage and everything, and subscribe to whatever they say. We're not doing that. I'm sorry. Stabroek News, I'm sorry to disappoint you, Anand Pasod, editor of Stabroek News, and the management of Stabroek News. We're sorry. You can call us whatever names you want. We're going to say what we got to say. We're going to call it like we see it. And we're going to speak truth to power unequivocally and unapologetically. Before I respond to Stabroek News and I tell you what they say, I want us to first bear in mind, keep sharing the link, everybody, that the editor of Stabroek News is part of the PPP ethnic axis. And Stabroek News has, over the decades, tried to tear down every Black leader in the country. You check it. Tear down Desmond Hyde, tear down David Granger, tear down everybody. That's Stabroek News. Every now and then, when it gets overbearing, they criticize the government, yes. But I don't know that overall, Stabroek News practices objective journalism and is fair and balanced. They're not. They're part of the PPP ethnic media. The Stabroek News campaigned for the PPP. Stabroek News lied to their readers and said that the Granger administration broke the Constitution, violated the Constitution. The editor of Stabroek News has attacked me on his personal Facebook page as recent as 2021, when workers at the court, the Supreme Court, complained to CGID about some working conditions there. And we issued a statement, and the court administration responded. He was like, oh, why are they responding to Rickford Burr? Right? So he has a bias against us. He's part of the ethnic axis. They're all racist as far as I'm concerned. Right? And if you're not racist, be objective. Be objective and speak truth to power. Say exactly what's going on in the country. Stabroek News knows that there's racism in Guyana. They've said it. They said Bharrat Jagdeo was a racist, or some of his comments were racist in an editorial last year. So let me read you guys. And people, we can't stay silent anymore. The people in Guyana, the reason why you guys are facing discrimination, marginalization, subjugation, abuse is because you remain quiet. Journalists must speak out. Everybody must speak out. Go on your social media and speak out. Go and protest. The eyes of the world is on Guyana, and they could curse us all they want. The focus that's on Guyana right now is because of CGID. Bharrat Jagdeo, put that in your pipe and smoke it. The reason Irfan Ali jumped and went to Washington 3 weeks ago and spent 300,000 US to try to stop the conference and spread PP lies about us, it's because of CGID. We have a major impact on the country. I don't care what they say. They could try to minimize us, call us criminals, And that's exactly what racists, apartheid racists do. They call black people criminals. They try to diminish us. They try to say we don't have no influence. Like Bharrat Jagdeo today say, oh, Burke is a criminal. So why the hell are you talking about me? Burke is nobody. Burke is a lowlife. Yet your sorry cricketer self, Bharrat Jagdeo, gotta be on a press conference talking about Rickford Burke and CGID every week. He doesn't even talk about the opposition the way he talks about CGID. I mean, like, we are just a small organization, small American organization. As a matter of fact, we are a small American organization. And we have a major impact in Guyana. And let me say this. You see all of the stuff by Jack, what the PP government is now doing, running around, throwing contracts at black people, doing roads in black villages. That's because of CGID and the advocacy we are engaged in and exposing their racism. So they could talk all they want, all the nonsense they want. Keep sharing the link, everybody. They are reacting to CGID. They're reacting. We're setting the agenda for the government. By Jagdeo, today Susie called my name. The journalist started laughing. He's like, why y'all laughing? They just see him as a clown, a vice president of a country, a former so-called president of a country, albeit he was the most corrupt in the world. But, you know, he's installed himself as vice president. And all he does is go to a press conference every day and call Rickford Burke, a private citizen of America. Rickford Burke. Next day, Rickford Burke. Rickford Bharrat, I love you too. I love you too. No, I don't love you. I have no respect for you. You're a criminal. You're a murderer. You're one of the most corrupt and odious politicians in the Caribbean, in the Western Hemisphere. I want to make a point, though, coming back to Stabroek News. I don't understand how all of those journalists in Guyana, all of them, well, not all of them, the ones that attend those press conferences, how they could sit there and endure the abuse. Like last week, I heard him cursing out a Kaiser News journalist for Glenn Lal because Glenn Lal said something. He's abusive. He's like a tin cup dictator. Oh, he walks in with this big table, like Saddam Hussein. He's like Baghdad Bob. Everybody remember Baghdad Bob? I'm going to show you guys a video of Baghdad Bob. Baghdad Bob. Bharrat Bob. Baghdad Bob. Bob. That's Bharrat. Baghdad Bob. The man is such a liar. I'm going to prove that he's a liar tonight. We're going to make sure that we discredit him. We're going to make sure that the world knows he's a pathological liar, a dangerous criminal, and a con artist. That's what he is. Plus a murderer. Plus a murderer. We're going to also play that tape and give you some information. He is a murderer. So, Stabroek News. Stabroek News wrote this editorial on October 8th, last Sunday. And it starts off by saying this. Some diasporas in the United States attempt to influence Washington, how Washington engages with their country of origin. The classic case is Cuba, and they talk about how Cuban Americans in Florida influence US policy on Cuba. Guyana is no Cuba, of course, and they went on to talk about the Guyanese diaspora. In contrast, though, they said, for the most part, US-based diaspora reflects ethno-political divide of Guyana itself, although there are always those who don't want to get involved in the home partisan. It says Brooklyn is the epicenter of diaspora politics, of Guyana, of the diaspora. And then I said, what we in Brooklyn have, from the point of view of some politically inclined members of the diaspora, is Hakeem Jeffries, a long-standing representative of the 8th Congressional District. Now, let me say this. This editorial is an embarrassment to journalism. The editorial was never fact-checked. They did not do their research. It was pregnant with misinformation. They did not contact anybody to find out anything. All they did was regurgitated propaganda from the PPP and stated as fact. This is a damn daily newspaper. Pure inaccuracy. Complete inaccuracy. I mean, it is disgraceful journalism. Disgraceful journalism. The first inaccuracy, there it goes. Mr. Hakeem Jeffrey, a long-standing representative of the 8th Congressional District, southern and eastern end of Brooklyn, and prior to his most recent appointment, chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. Hakeem Jeffries was not chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. And certainly, prior to his appointment as Democratic leader or minority leader in the Congress, he was not the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. So this writer is most and unfortunately ignorant of what they're about to write. Prior to his appointment as minority leader, Democratic leader in the Congress, he was chair of the Democratic Caucus. He was chairman of the Democratic Caucus, not the Congressional Black Caucus. But because he's black, they're like, and he's chair of something, they're like, yeah, we from the Jim Crow era. We just lump all them black people. Everything he's chairman of is black. Right? It's consistent with the thinking and the narrative of the PPP. Oh, so he's chair of something, so he must be chair of those black people. No, he was chair of the Congressional Democratic Caucus. But let me go on. He's now minority leader in the House of Representatives, having succeeded Nancy Pelosi. In other words, he's now the leading House Democrat. Mr. Rickford Burke of the Caribbean Guyana Institute of Advocacy was presumably not mindful of the opportunity and association with him would present and clearly established a relationship. Stabroek News never called me to say, hey, Mr. Burke, what is your relationship with Mr. Jeffries? How long you know him? They got it right because the narrative of the PPP ethnic axis is that, hey, them black people are not supposed to know people of influence. So he must go and make friends with Jeffries, and Jeffries need the black votes that he could mobilize. So yeah, there you go. That's it. He formed an association with Jeffries. And they're going to write the crap. That is what the PPP and their supporters, their racist supporters' narrative is. That Mr. Jeffries is exploiting his friendship with me to get votes. Hakeem Jeffries gets the highest votes for any elected official in New York State. In the entire state. In the entire state. Go and examine his elections. In his district, he gets the highest percentage of votes in the state. He's elected with the highest. He doesn't need me to get votes. But that's what they're at. And Rickford Burke needs Jeffries so that Bharrat Jagdeo said that. So that he could look important. My friends, I have known Hakeem Jeffries for over 23 years. Over 23 years. I was honored and privileged to be in his very first campaign when he ran for state assembly. We have been very good friends for a very long time, over a decade. Oh, sorry, over 2 decades. We were actually neighbors over 20 years ago. But Stabroek News didn't bother to write that because Stabroek News editor or the writer of that editorial subscribes to the PPP the narrative of the PPP ethnic axis. They want to say that, he is attaching himself to Jeffries because he needs to influence, and Jeffries needs his vote. We're actually two very good friends for over 2 decades. Stabroek News never interviewed me, never. They're gonna write this asinine crap that racists are churning out. It end up in the editorial of a daily newspaper. It went on to say the connection became apparent in Congressman's statements in 2021 and last year, which harmonized with CGID's position. They're so racist and disrespect. They would never write that he was a white man. His position harmonized with CGID, so he is saying what CGID tells him. Congressman, as I always said, the congressman has staff. They read, they talk to people. The congressman and his staff tell me all the time, whenever they go out into the field, they're bombarded with Guyanese, begging him to intervene and end the racism in the country. How dare Stabroek News, is right? Stabroek News did not interview the man or his staff to find out how they gathered their information. They're parroting what Bharrat Jagdeo said, and Orphan Ali. A daily newspaper, when the man has dozens of staff. And as of now, they pay keen attention to what's going on in Guyana. It goes on. The inaccuracies and disgraceful unprofessionalism of Stabroek News continues. It must be said that while Mr. Burke is a talented lobbyist, first of all, I'm not a lobbyist. Again, they are following Bharrat Jagdeo. Bharrat Jagdeo jumped up and said, oh, they're lobbying. You black people can't talk to your Congress people because that's lobbying. We, the East Indians, with our East Indian supporters in Queens, that write to the congressman all the time, and that's not lobbying, that's talking to their congressman. But once you black people, that's illegal. Just like they said, it is illegal to have a forum on to discuss the emerging apartheid state. That's unconstitutional. Black people are in slavery. They have no freedom. They cannot meet to discuss PPP racism. That's unconstitutional. That's literally what the Attorney General wrote and said. Bharrat Jagdeo came back with the same crap. Oh, it is unconstitutional and unlawful for them to lobby the way they're doing it. This big dunce that went to community high school and called himself a community college in Russia and calls himself an economist and then gets an honorary doctorate, which he uses, which is a disgrace to the academia, because when you have an honorary doctorate, you don't use it, you don't call yourself doctor, but they are so fascinated with being important, that they all call themselves Dr. Jagdeo, Dr. Ali, Alfie. But he suddenly, Jagdeo, is an American constitutional lawyer. And his expertise and expert knowledge tells him, in law, tells him that it is unconstitutional and unlawful for us to talk to our members of Congress and members of the United States government. But their East Indian supporters in Queens can do it. It's perfectly loyal. So, Stabroek News jumped on that. Rickford Burke is a talented lobbyist. So damn disrespectful. I'm not allowed. I'm an advocate. I'm an activist against racism and for rights. That's what I do as a side. Anyway, it must be said that while Mr. Burke is a talented lobbyist, and they try to dress it up with putting talented in front, as if that, I'm going to feel patronized by that crap. His perspective in relation to the country's party politics falls at the extreme end of the spectrum and are counterproductive at minimum, if not potentially destabilizing. Hell yeah, we're going to destabilize the country if we continue to be racist. Hell yeah, we're going to destabilize the country if we can't get justice for black people. Hell yeah, we're going to destabilize the country. If you continue to fight black people and take away their lands and take away and then destroy their villages and fight to make sure that they have no access to the resources of the country, and you deny them contracts, and you use the police force to criminalize them, how yeah, are we going to destabilize the country? And if that's what's happening, CGID is very effective because that's what we want. We want fairness. We want equality. We want justice. We want an inclusive democracy. We want inclusive growth. We want equity. We want equality. We're not begging anybody for anything. African Guyanese ancestors built the country. Who are these people now to come? The Jagdeo and the cabal to tell the people who don't support their political party that they can't benefit from anything from the country. So thank you, Stabroek News, for acknowledging that we can destabilize the country. Yes. Yes. And let me say this. If we are destabilizing the country, it's because racism is destabilizing us. Racism is destabilizing the country. Racial discrimination is destabilizing the country. The lack of equity is destabilizing the country. The lack of fairness in the judicial system, in the criminal justice system, is destabilizing the country. The refusal of the PPP to make sure that black people and opposition supporters benefit from the resources of the country, that's destabilizing the country. Because we are reacting to it. If you don't want us to react to it and create hell, then govern for everybody. Ensure that everybody benefits from the economic success of the country. Ensure that there's equal access to government contracts. If 10 East Indians get $20 billion in contract, 10 black people must get $20 billion in contract too, or 10 Amerindians, or whatever it is. Not only East Indian supporters of the PPP, that's destabilizing. The fact that Guyana does not have proper functioning democratic institutions, that's destabilizing the country. Stabroek News, write about that. However, let me go on. And then they went on. As it is, he will have to face criminal charges should he return to Guyana. What charges, Stabroek News? What charges? So Stabroek is like a Bharrat Jagdeo write this. They are following the narrative of the PPP, more so the axis, the ethnic axis that exists in the country, that believe in ethnic superiority, that black people are second-class citizens in the country. He will have to face criminal charges. What criminal charges? For being in America, exercising my free speech rights under the United States Constitution. That's a crime in Ghana. Well, y'all come and jail me then. I mean, but here how dangerous this is. Because Stabroek News is now endorsing a plot by the PPP, because we have a recording that US law enforcement has of conspirators. Let me back up. So Bharrat Jagdeo, the Attorney General, the Police Commissioner, and Crime Chief conspired that the way to silence me is to frame me. Put out a wanted bulletin, and elected officials going to run from me because when they Google my name, they're going to see Burke is wanted in Guyana. Who gives a damn about some fake malicious bulletin? That Russia does the same thing and Iran does the same thing for people who speak out about their atrocities. That's number one. So then we have a recording with some of these conspirators talking about how they could get Rickford Burke. One of them was discussing, and we have that recording. It's not because it's part of law enforcement, probably. Anyway, let me leave it there. We heard the recording is with US law enforcement, where they're talking, right, on a call about framing me and say, tell US officials, I am the one that caused the jailbreak in Mazaruni and me. I mean, we have them on tape saying, let me framework for that. How they're so stupid. Like the US government is gonna be like, oh my God, the racists in Guyana said Burke committed something with a jail, and we got jail here extradited. They are so self-absorbed with their presumed power that ends at the shore of the Atlantic, that ends at Tamari Airport, that ends at the Quarantine River, that ends at the border with Venezuela. They're so consumed with that power that they have that ends at Guyana shores that they think that they can get the US government to buy that crap, that they could frame their political enemy that they want to kill, because that, I mean, the attorney general come here and say, kill me. Bharrat Jagdeo discussing how he can get their squads to kill me. So they think that they're going to get the US government to say, hey, Whitford Burke has committed something, and then buying Guyana want to say, yeah, Senny. They understand that this country is a rule of law, and that they will go to jail for that conspiracy. But Stabroek News is subscribing to it. Stabroek News is subscribing. Stabroek News is saying he will have to face a criminal charge if he returns to Guyana for speaking out. Stabroek News, which is supposed to represent freedom of the press, is now attacking my free speech in America. And this is supposed to be a newspaper. Then they gone on again. More nonsense from side. During an address to the Seventh Adventist Church last year, Mr. Jeffries referred to the fact that Guyanese were living in a situation of racism. Absolute nonsense. The congressman never said that. Never. Let me play what the congressman said. I mean, this is Stabroek News, you know, that credits itself as a credible source of news information in Guyana. Let me share my screen if I can. All right, where is this? All right, I'm about to share my screen now. This is what the congressman said.
Certainly the folks back home in Guyana, living right now under very difficult circumstances. A government that has consistently not treated everyone consistent with the principles of equal protection under the law. And we're not going to tolerate racism here. We're not going to tolerate racism down in Guyana either.
So did you hear what the congressman said? Stabroek said, during his address, Mr. Jeffries referred to the fact that Guyanese were living in a situation of racism. The man said the government has not treated everyone fairly and sorry, everyone with everyone consistent with the equal protection provisions of the law. And that they're not going to tolerate racism anywhere. That's what the man said. So tell me something, Stabroek News. You want him to tolerate racism? Is that what you're saying? He mustn't say that they're not going to tolerate racism? It is a fact. The government has not treated everyone consistent with the principles of equal protection under the law. That's a fact. And the fact that he said the United States will not tolerate racism in Guyana, he's not accusing them of racism. He said they will not tolerate it. Everybody in Guyana should agree with that statement. No one should tolerate racism anywhere in the world. But the ethnic axis to which Stabroek News subscribes believe that they're entitled to be racist. So how dare Jeffries come to tell us that we cannot be racist? That's what this argument is about, because they should embrace that message by the congressman. The courts have ruled that the government has not treated everyone consistent with the law. The courts just ruled that the government, the police force that stopped a lawyer that arrested a lawyer because she advised her client to exercise his constitutional rights. Last year, the court issued a bunch of rulings about the denial of people's rights. Look what they did to the people of Makkah. Is that consistent with the principles of equal protection under the law? No. So what the hell is Stabroek News writing here? Then they went on to say that another insult of the congressman, that his statement after he met with the government reflect what other Americans have said, which is American officials, which is diplomatic language. There must be inclusion, and that everyone must benefit from the economic growth of the country, including African Guyanese. So it seems as though Stabroek News wants appeasing diplomatic language because they are superior and black people must not speak to it. Stop the damn racism. That's what that statement said. And nobody got time for diplomacy. Yes, the politicians will use diplomatic language. I am not a politician. I'm an advocate. CGID is an advocate group, and we will continue to speak truth to power. We're not dressing up anything to appease any racists in Guyana and to appease biased journalists at Stabroek News that subscribe to that racism and that culture of ethnic supremacy. No, we're going to call it as we see it. Enough of the Stabroek News. I just wanted to come here. And then they went on to say, I forgot this part, that the fact that Mr. Jeffries sounds less like Rickford Bork and more like the American diplomats is because he's getting more information. Stabroek News has not, because in his position as Democratic leader, he's getting information from the story report, but pure conjecture, pure speculation. Pure speculation. Stabroek News editorial. An editorial based on pure speculation and hogwash put out by PPP racist propagandas. That's what ended up in the editorial pages of the Stabroek News. Nothing factual. Stabroek News cannot say we spoke to Mr. Jeffries or his chief of staff or his press secretary or his national security advisor and the advisor that they have now more information from the State Department and can be what. Nothing of the sort. Stabroek News cannot say we spoke to Mr. Burke and Mr. Burke said, yes, I met Mr. Jeffries 2 years ago and know that he's so important, I made friends with him. They can't say that. This article is not based on 1 ounce of fact, but they're writing this hogwash in their editorial. Shame on Stabroek News. And I'm going to write them formally about it tomorrow. Let's go to Bharrat Jagdeo. So today, Mr. Jagdeo held one of his most famous press conferences, his famous Thursday press conference. And he is hung up on this Washington conference. He says it was a disgrace. It was a complete failure. Complete failure. But for the last 5 weeks, this conference has occupied all his time at the press conference. And me. I'm a criminal. I'm a con man. His mother did not make me. I want to make that. Let me pause right here. Pause. Bharrat, I am not a criminal because I am not a product of your mother. Your mother made you. That's why you're a criminal. Your criminal disease is congenital, came straight from your mother. Now that I've made that point, let me go on to say this. Bharrat, why is this conference so haunting you? Why is this conference driving you crazy? If it's such a failure. Last week, you would recall, Bharrat Jagdeo lied to the people of Guyana. Let me show you what he said about the conference.
It seems as though all of that evaporated, that history, the recent history of them trying even.
This is today. No, this is the wrong video. This is today. Let me go to the other video.
Now that brings me to stealing elections.
Let me get the other video.
Last time.
Let me get the video of what he told you guys last week. Okay. Bear with me, bear with me. Get in there. Oh, I now see what I was doing wrong. Let me get it. Good. All right, so there we go. That's Bharrat.
And heard from the opposition. So he had a conflict with work. He wanted back his money and all of that. This is a Haitian guy. So I'm not sure how many of that happened, how much of this happened, but I know it happened for sure because I have at least one case, and I'm trying to get some more details to see if the people will go public. So this is what happened, and what was interesting is that after the much vaunted, like they would be addressed by tons of congressmen, etc. I don't know, I may be wrong because I did not follow this, but I don't think a single congressperson addressed the conference. So, again, he lied to people. It was money making. It was typical Rick Ford part. And the only resolution they had, one resolution, was to ban Jagdeo from going to the US. One resolution. You would think that a conference, a Washington conference on Guyana, at which 15 persons from the opposition, the key leaders and the contenders, all go up there, that they would call on the government for something, they would want something more structural. Their only resolution was to ban Jagdeo from going into the US. So I'm not too worried about that. And they can continue. Rickford Burke is very concerned about me because I would call him for what he is, a criminal. And that is what I think bothers.
So that was Bharrat Jagdeo last week. He said he wants to discredit the conference. He said the conference was unsuccessful. Then he made very specific. I mean, I want the country to understand how dangerous this man is. And that's why the international community must come down on him and the Guyana police force. Because what they do is sit in a back room and frame people. They lie and make up stuff and then send the police to get people. He said a Haitian man gave the conference he wants to portray black people again as criminals, as like him. We collect money all the time. But okay, so collect the $500,000 from Mr. Kim Wong Jung, right? Collect $10,000 from Wong Chitong. Collect $2 million. Bharrat Jagdeo is the master of bribery and con artist. This man collects bribes all day. He doesn't meet investors at his office, He meets them at his house. We have videos of that. So he, in his mind, is thinking, them black people gotta be doing the same thing, right? So let me set up. Let me say, a man give them $10,000 and the man went. Jagdeo actually made up a story that he said, I think the man is Haitian. You're a vice president of a country. You're going to come up here and think? A man, he said, that maybe Haitian, maybe from Mars or Pluto, give the conference $10,000 because he thinks the conference is going to give him investment in Guyana. So he went to the conference and he didn't get any investment information. So he asked back Burke for $10,000. This disgraceful, inveterate liar. And all of those reporters sat there. Yeah, Bharrat, that is true. All of those reporters there. First of all, this conference, and then he said, the other lie, he said, most of the people were foreigners. There are the guys. This conference was for CGID members and members of diaspora organizations that are part of the combined Diaspora Guyanese Organization of America. No outside. So, let me tell you something. The funny thing about Bharrat Jagdeo does not have a clue about what happened at the conference, other than what he saw publicly. And I'll deal with that. His perception is that everything he sees publicly, that's the conference. And that was great. Because over 530,000 people watched the conference. The first day, 277,000 people watched the conference. The second day, 300 and something thousand people watched the conference. That Jagdeo said was a complete disaster and make up all these things. But let us zero in on these gigantic lies. This man has no credibility. How could Guyanese sit and allow such a junkyard dog and an inveterate liar to be their vice president, to represent the country, such a thief to preside over the oil money, such a murderer, a killer who belongs in jail, to sit in a seat of the vice presidency, a vice presidency of Guyana? How does this happen? How does this happen? When you could verify that the man is a liar, he just don't care. He thinks that he could lie and get away with it. He just thinks he could go before the nation and lie. Make up some story. That's what they did. Make up stories about all those young black boys that they killed and send death squad to kill them and then say that they were criminals. That's what this man did. And the young people of Guyana, I'm speaking to the young people, 16 years and up. This man is a killer. This man is a liar. Don't allow him to rewrite history. He caused the murder of over 1,400 young black men. And part of the campaign that we're conducting is for him to be held accountable. And he talks about a resolution. I'll come to that resolution. But I want to skin up his lies more. This man, Guyanese, this man made up a whole man. And then he went till to Haiti, create this man in a suit, and bring this man across the ocean. And think that a Haitian man, when Haiti's suffering right now, this Haitian man find 10,000 US dollars to give to a group of activists who went to Washington to talk about discrimination and how US policy can help promote inclusion and inclusive growth. That's the objective of the conference. I'll deal with that just now. But Jagdeo created a whole man. Why? He wants to paint black people as corrupt. He wants to paint opposition leaders as corrupt, as subscribing to some corrupt practices and subscribing to some corrupt network and criminal. He actually thought that the PPP was in Washington. Bharrat, that was the PPP. Your organization is corrupt. You are the mob boss. You are the head of the PPP crime family. You are a criminal. Not nobody at the conference. I want Bharrat to produce this man, and Guyanese must hold him accountable for this lie. He's a pathological liar. He has no credibility. The man is shameless. He's shameless. He told you guys, no Congress people address anyone from the conference. This liar. He thinks that he could get away with it. He can lie with impunity. Here was the mistake they made. During the period of the conference, Congress was in crisis, in chaos. Members of Congress were there until 2 a.m. in the morning voting because the Republicans wanted to pass a draconian bill slashing 30% of the budget, taking away people's social security. So members of Congress couldn't leave the Capitol. They were there because they were constant votes, vote. So the Democrats had to vote down the bills along with some Republicans, and the Republicans were there staying up all night to wait them out to see if some of them would go home so they could pass the bill. And the Democrats did not budge. So they couldn't really leave the Capitol. So what do you think they did? We went to the Capitol to meet with them. So he said he received the report. We now know when Bharrat Jagdeo said he got the report, bullshit lies. BS. The man is an inveterate, consummate, congenital liar. Don't trust him. How can a country trust somebody like this? A disgraceful, inveterate, congenital liar. He born so. He inherited. He's a liar. He said no Congress people addressed. First of all, he said the opposition did not meet with anybody. All right, so after the crisis on Capitol Hill became manageable, because Congressman Jeffries and the others who the opposition met with, the same people they meet with, they were so busy, and the staff was so busy. And then immediately after that, the Republicans voted out the speaker. And all the Democrats had to be there voting as a bloc. And Bharrat Jagdeo think that he and his PPP's criminal political objective of propagating a meeting in Washington, that the Democrats must pay attention to that. That's their, we racists, ethnic racists from the PPP, we are more important than the American people. So Jeffries must put out a statement immediately to satisfy us. If Jeffries had put out a statement to satisfy us, then nothing happened. But go to hell. You're not important in the scheme of things in this country. You're nobody. You're a cricketer, a cockabelly eating PPP cricketer. I really don't want to say what I want to say. You are nobody. According to Sharon, you're a dirty trench crapo. Hakeem Jeffries don't have no time with you. Members of Congress don't have no time with you to meet your objectives. You're a mob boss of the PPP. They don't care about you. You can't even have a meeting with them. You were excluded from the meeting with them, Bharrat, because you're a criminal. You can't pass a background check to go in a meeting. You were listed as a criminal. I have never been arrested. I was in the meeting. So I don't know what you're talking about. You, Bharrat Jagdeo, could not have gotten that meeting. They said they didn't want you in the meeting. They don't have anything against Krekete, Bharrat. You are a dirty trench crapo Krekete. But that's not why. They don't have anything. So don't go saying they're discriminating against Kreketes, Bharrat. They are discriminating against Kreketes who are criminals, who committed murder like you, conspiracy like you. So Bharrat said there was no meeting, right? Hear how he got caught, right? He said the opposition did not meet with anybody and there was no. Here we go. Bharrat Jagdeo came to the nation, held a national press conference, and told the nation the opposition did not meet with the members of Congress. If it was in this country, he would have got to resign. Nobody could be so deceitful, dishonest, mendacious, with criminal intent. How is this man a vice president? How could the press actually go and write stories based on what this man says? How? How has he been able to get away with this nonsense? How does the Guyanese people accept this? You tell me how, young people in Guyana, can you do this in your house? Can you go home to your parents and say, I graduated from the University of Guyana today with distinction, when you never even attended university? Is that acceptable? Can you go to your job and lie and say, I went to the client today, and you sign a report saying, I went to the client today and I did this and I did that? Young people, can you go to school, whether you're in high school or college, and lie to your teachers without consequence? Young professional workers in the public service or in the private sector, can you go to your job and lie like this? No, you'll be punished. So why are Guyanese accepting this nonsense from Bharrat Jagdeo? Why? Further, he went on to say, hold on. Then he went on to say, more evidence of the man is a liar. More evidence. He went on to say, we didn't meet with anybody. Right? He said, we did not meet with anybody. The conference, nobody addressed the conference delegates. Right? That's what Bharrat said. And the PPP propaganda press, they ran with it. That is the basis. Right? They ran with it. Let me give you some more evidence. Trying to pull up these photographs here about his lies. So remember, he said the opposition didn't meet with anybody, nobody from the conference, right? Remember, I told you that because the members of Congress had to vote continuously, they couldn't come. So we had to go. Here is the conference convening in the Democratic leader's office. Bharrat Jagdeo. So guess what? After they get caught lying, they change the narrative. They say, well, don't let me say. Let's hear what he said himself.
I shared what was the collective sentiment of Guyana, that the so-called Washington conference was a failure to achieve any of its objectives. They went up there with a racist
The PPP propaganda press.
hoping the US government and congressmen would take their sides in pursuing the racist agenda. They did not succeed. They were told that there are two sides to the coin. Norton said that. And secondly, you show us the evidence. The people that they chose to show evidence of discrimination, we've demonstrated openly now that they are questionable characters, that they had nothing to do with discrimination. So they are unable to get any condemnation of the government of Guyana. That is what they were hoping for from the US policy makers. They failed miserably to achieve that objective. They one resolution that they passed unanimously was to ban Jagdeo from going to the US. That is the 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 conference, their so-called conference. That is what. But they so they are unable to get any condemnation of the government.
Remember, Bharrat Jagdeo last week said we never meet with nobody. Now he's saying the people they met with asked for evidence. Who people? The people from Mars? The people from Haiti? The people from Pluto? The people from the back dam at Manchester? Who people? Who people, Bharrat? Bharrat, you can't get away with this. You cannot lie, and think that we're not noticing that we're stupid. You, Bharrat Jagdeo, with your cunning, lying self, you've gotten caught. You told the Guyanese people last week that these people met with nobody. We met with nobody. How come now somebody is asking for evidence? Who? Who, Bharrat? Who is asking for the evidence? And okay. We catch him lying. We finish that, right? It is understood. He's a liar, inveterate, congenital, pathological liar. Let us deal with the lies. He now says that the people ask us for evidence. Bharrat was in the meeting, right? Yeah, Bharrat was in the meeting sitting. Hold on, let me see where he was sitting again. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Let me see here. Did you guys see Bart anywhere in that meeting? But Bart now is making up in his mind what he wants the people to think happened in the meeting. Let me disabuse Bharrat Jagdeo of his lies and presumptions. The members of Congress got the evidence way before the conference. Like I told you guys, Bharrat Jagdeo has no idea what happened in Washington. No idea. He's speculating. He's like, we had people in the conference. Lie. Absolute lie. Everybody in the conference, we knew. Everybody. First of all, they tried, they called. We would like to have 10 people in the conference. We said, no, get out of here with that bullshit. You're not having nobody in the conference. He complained, yeah, Burke said we can't have people at the conference, and then because we asked, and they having a conference on Guyana, and we asked Bart to deal with Richard Burke. This is not the PNC in Guyana. This is not the Buxton group that you think you could intimidate and send Clifford Hicken. You're dealing with me. You're not coming to the conference means you're not coming to the conference. Period. Stop lying. You had absolutely nobody in there. Nobody told you that. Because nobody asked for no evidence. Nobody asked for no evidence. He wants us to say, no, they did not ask for evidence. This is what they say. You ain't going to. You ain't going to. You go to your Patu people in some Krabu Creek back dam or wherever and tell them that and try to con them like that. And I don't mean any disrespect of the people of Krabu Creek, but I'm just saying, I'm just calling a place. Go to Elpec back dam and find your fellow cricketers, Bharrat, and tell them that nonsense. The members of Congress did not have to have evidence. They know. They know. The other lie Bharrat Jagdeo told, he's like, they went there expecting condemnation of the government. Bharrat Jagdeo has no clue what the agenda of the conference was. The agenda of the conference was not to condemn anybody. The agenda of the conference was to talk with US officials, some of whom we spoke to, some of whom you spoke to, you saw evidence, some of which you have not. Some we spoke to before, some we spoke to after. For instance, the Secretary of State wrote me saying he could not attend the conference. But he discussed in his letter with me what are the objectives of the State Department and how the State Department is working to achieve some of the things we were talking about. And now, post-conference, because they were traveling, the Secretary of State and the staff, they were traveling during the period of the conference. Post-conference, we're going to meet with the State Department. Bharrat Jagdeo has no clue that we were exchanging information with these people. But he gone and speculate because he wants to sound like he knows. He knows everything. He's a doctor, he's a lawyer, he's a surgeon, he's a specialist, he's a thief, he's a con artist, he's a crook, he's a criminal, he raped in the country, so he's a rapist, and he's a murderer because they kill out all these black people. He is everything. The objective of this conference was to sit with our comrades throughout the diaspora to discuss in Washington what was happening and to talk to US members of Congress about US policy, how US policy can help Guyana achieve inclusive democracy, inclusive growth, equality, equal rights and justice, social equity, and sustainable development for everybody. regardless of race or ethnicity. That's the conference. That's what the conference was. Bharrat Jagdeo has no clue what the conference was about. None. But he's prattling because they're scared. They don't know what we discussed. He said it was, and then he got DPI to put out a statement to the party. What he said, oh, the conference was an abject failure. If the conference was a failure, why are you talking about it for 5 weeks? 5 weeks, a failed conference is dominating the government of Guyana. Bork, a criminal, CGID, a so-called criminal network that Bharrat Jagdeo mother probably formed if it's a criminal network. CGID is setting the agenda for the government of Guyana, got them running to Washington, spending 300,000 US, 61 million Guyana dollars. CGID? And we're failures? If we were not failures, could you imagine what to spend? 61 million US. And let me tell you something. We're going to force them to spend 61 million US. Furthermore, there's a fact-finding mission going to Guyana. Not the one from New York. Not the one from New York. There's a fact-finding mission going to Guyana with politicians from all over the United States and civil rights leaders and legal specialists coming to Guyana to investigate the allegations at the conference. So how is that a failure? How is a conference that met where the opposition met exactly the same people the government met? How is that a failure? Was Orphanani's mission a failure when he ran to Washington panicking? Oh, no, black people are about to meet and talk about their racism. We got to come there first. Was that a failure? That was a failure. You know why? Because immediately after he met with the members of Congress and members of the Congressional Black Caucus, they issued a statement calling for inclusion. Bharrat Jagdeo said he met with them to tell them that the government was inclusive. How then, Bharrat? After Ali met with the members of Congress and you said convince them that the government was inclusive, that they're going to issue a statement immediately after that saying you need to be inclusive. Who's a failure, Bharrat? Your Mickey Mouse president? Your puppet president? Or the conference that met with the same people, passed a resolution calling for you to be sanctioned, which is going to be considered by the US government, and a fact-finding mission, one of many, a conference that over 500,000 people watch, a conference that has you riled up and having diarrhea every day, sitting over your toilet bowl, coughing and talking about Rickford Burke, Bharrat, epigastric distress, Bharrat, calling out to all your fellow cricketers to help you, perched at your press conference like a tin cup dictator every day, Bharrat, talking about this failed conference. What a failure. What a failure. Do you think people believe your lies, Bharrat? We have proven to them tonight that you're a liar. You're unfit for public office. You're a disgrace. You're a thief. You're a killer. Who's a failure? You have been in government since 1992, Bharrat. Not one project that you pursued in government has succeeded. Not one. Skeldon Estate failed. Anira Falls failed. Whatever, all the estates failed under you. The one thing you build is the Barbies Bridge, and you thief the people money. NIS money to build it. That's the only thing. Every single project Bharrat Jagdeo touched has been a failure. He now running with this gas to shore project. Let me see. Bharrat, I challenge you tonight. Bring that project to fruition. Bring it. You are a complete failure, a disaster in public office. Right now, you're running from the court who want to serve you with papers where the former Auditor General is suing you for reckless libel and lying. The former Auditor General, and you're ducking and hiding. 12 times they tried to serve you hiding. You coward. Face the courts. Face the courts. You liar, Bharrat. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching.